Yeah, you know what time it is when you hear my voice. You will know what time it is when you hear my voice. Get that crack pipe out of your mouths. Bitcoin is currently sitting at a pathetic 64,000 US dollars and some change. It's the weekend, ladies and gentlemen, so we don't take price action serious on a weekend. But so far, we've been completely right, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a long, brutal bear market. It's been a really long, brutal bear market. And I have to say, congratulations to every single one of you that are still here. Bull markets make you rich, but bear markets make you wealthy. I'm going to be hosting a live stream party, ladies and gentlemen, and it's going to be in October. I'm not sure about the date, but it's definitely going to be in October. And we're going to celebrate this long, brutal bear market that we're in to finally find the bottom. So join me, ladies and gentlemen. There's going to be a lot of fun, good vibes, and we can finally say goodbye to this brutal bear market. We've successfully navigated the entire bear market by just looking at a fractal. Who would have believed? In 2022, we had a dead cat bounce. In 2025, in this current bull market, we had a dead cat bounce. In 2022, we swept the highs, ladies and gentlemen, and we formed an upthrust. Likewise, in 2026 bear market, we done the exact same thing. We swept the highs, made a pathetic high, and formed an upthrust. There were no more sellers left. Everyone was calling for higher prices, and the market turned against them. It hurdled all the way to 33,000 US dollars. In this current bear market, the same thing happened. There were no more buyers left, and we hurdled all the way to 80,000 US dollars and some change. The same participants back then were screaming for a bottom, and guess what? This was all distribution followed by an upthrust. Likewise, the same exact thing happened over here. They were calling for higher prices, saying that this time is different. We're going to see a super cycle. It formed an upthrust just like it done in the previous cycle. There were no more buyers left, and we hurtled down into selling climax. The same thing happened here, ladies and gentlemen. We hurtled down into selling climax. This period right here was an outlier, a curveball, an anomaly. So I decided to amalgamate this entire period into selling climax. We hurtled down all the way to this period, and as a result, we are right over here, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are where we've always meant to be. These doomers were calling for lower prices, and I told you adamantly, clearly, I said that we're not going to see durable lows. I tweeted, don't fall for their tricks. We're not going to make durable lows. I tweeted on the very wick, on the extreme wick. I longed it as well. I bought there as well. You know my story. This is the hourly candle, and my tweet was pretty much almost the absolute bottom. We formed selling climax right over here. Volume increased. This is a capitulation moment. Likewise, the same thing, selling climax with volume increasing, formed a durable bottom. And then we ranged in this period. Likewise, in 2022, we ranged in this period. We broke out, and in this cycle as well, we broke out. We formed a selling climax right over here, and likewise we formed a selling climax right over here. I did say that we're gonna head to 85,000 US dollars. However, I was shy of few thousand US dollars. While many participants were calling for higher prices, altcoins are coming back. We have Zcash, we have Hyperliquid, we have all of these altcoins really coming back. And I told you, ladies and gentlemen, we're going straight to hell, and I was right. We plummeted down just like this period, and in the previous cycle I said the exact same thing, that we're gonna head all the way back to this area right over here at the bottom of the trend line. I screamed at everyone. I said we're not gonna make durable lows. We're gonna do the same thing that we done previously. We need the bulls and the bears to fight at this level and to make people believe that this is the bottom. This is an accumulation period. Everyone's gonna say that this is the bottom. We've done is over. The pain, I can't take it anymore. And then we really see the pain. Like, I'm talking about pain that's so unbearable, you don't want to touch this thing. You think it's never going to come back. And even when you buy it, you're going to be so fearful. It's going to keep you up at night. I've been there. I'm expecting all of these areas to be tested once again. I'm expecting this area to be tested at 66K, at 67K, and maybe, just maybe, 70K. I want the bull tarts to really believe that this is the bottom, and we've just done a swing failure pattern. We've swept the lows, a double bottom. I want to hear people speak like this, and then I'll go for the kill. And let's talk about Ethereum. Now, we were doing something similar with Ethereum, and we chose the fractal of the previous cycle. Now, everything was going straight to plan, ladies and gentlemen. We formed an upthrust here, and we formed an upthrust here. Selling climax, it was perfect. It was perfect, ladies and gentlemen. A distribution pattern, an upthrust right here, a distribution pattern, and an upthrust right here. Diagonal trend line and a diagonal trend line right over here. We broke down, ladies and gentlemen, further selling climax. We invalidated this period and we consolidated the two, and here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We could go back to this area and say that this and this is similar, but I'm not sure, ladies and gentlemen. We were analyzing this period right over here, and I did say that we're not going to make new lows. However, we made new lows. I was comparing this period right over here, ladies and gentlemen, and unfortunately what has happened is we formed a new low. Now, I could go back to this fractal here and just say that this period was more of an elongated period and this period was a shorter period in our selling climax. However, we're just gonna have to freestyle this one, ladies and gentlemen, until the fractals appear to ourselves. So far, we're just gonna get rid of this fractal. We're going to go back to basics and do what I do best. Now, Ethereum is most likely going to head to this trend line right over here. We're going to retest these areas and then retest these areas. Now, ultimately, is this the bottom? It could be, but however, we just keep on doing the same thing. We keep on sweeping the highs. Now, over here, we swept this area. We almost swept this area. And then finally, we swept the highs. And we keep sweeping the lows. We swept this low, swept this low, and Ethereum could possibly sweep this low. Now, most of you are aware that this is my first DCA. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I bought at the peak of bottom. You know the story. If you've seen our previous episode, I'm extremely transparent. I'm not going to tell you anything that I'm not involved in, ladies and gentlemen. And I put a big amount over here. I'm looking for another bottom over here at around 1,384. And then finally a sweep of the lows. Now, in the grand scheme of things, Ethereum, to me, if I take a 20% hit, 30% hit maximum, that's a correction period, ladies and gentlemen. That's nothing. I've avoided a massive downturn from the very peak to the trough. Let's just say it hits 1,077%. Now stay with me, guys. Stay with me. Sometimes you gotta be bullish. You gotta be bullish sometimes, ladies and gentlemen. And this is Cisco. Cisco had a massive melt up from 1990 all the way to the .com period. It went up 1,000,000% and some change. This bull market lasted for 10 years. This was the .com period. Now, it never made all-time new highs, durable highs, for another 26 years, ladies and gentlemen. From March 2000 all the way to March 2026, it never made all-time new highs. Ethereum is not going to take that long, but ladies and gentlemen, we could be in a period of a long consolidation for Ethereum. Then finally, in the next bull run, it will make durable all-time highs, as long as we don't make new lows. Cisco made a higher low, continuation of a higher low, and higher low constantly. It took a very long time, but I believe Ethereum is here to stay. Everything else is everything else. These are some of your favorite penny stocks, crypto. Now, Tau, ladies and gentlemen, is up a massive 24%, and I'm coming for you. I really am coming for you. I finished all the Zcash holders, ladies and gentlemen. That was one of my best trades of my entire career. I'm coming after Tau holders. I shorted the pump and dump Zcash. and I longed Monero. Now Monero, like I explained previously, keeps on hitting this trend line time and time again. It's been doing it since February 2024, ladies and gentlemen, and every time it bounces. This is what you want to see in a bullish market, ladies and gentlemen. This is a healthy chart, and this is what you want to see. And ladies and gentlemen, I bought right over here, almost at the very bottom. If it holds above this trend line, well, you know what's gonna happen. Every coin and project, stock, whatever you want to call it, has seasonality, ladies and gentlemen, and Tau is no different. In the beginning part of the year, from January all the way to March, we normally see an uptick in its price. Then we head lower, forming lower highs and lower lows, and then we find ourselves in this period. In May, we normally see an uptick, and I said in May it will close green. And I was right. And then we head into a summer lull, forming new lows after new lows after new lows. Every single cycle was exactly the same. In the summer, we head down and down. 2024, we done the same thing. 2025, we done the same thing. From May all the way to September 2026, we had an uptick from February all the way till April, March. And then a summer lull continues. In May 2024, we closed green, but slight green. In 2025, we closed green. And in 2026, like I said many times previously, we will close green. Now check this. In 2024, June was a massive red candle. In 2025, a massive red candle. And what do you think is going to happen, ladies and gentlemen? And you know what? Every single cycle, we wick slightly higher and then head down. We wick slightly higher and then head down. And in this, ladies and gentlemen, we've wicked slightly higher. We're up 20%, and then we close a massive red candle for June. If you need some help navigating through markets, finding the absolute low, trying to find the low, then join our private members. We're going to help you along your way, and make sure, ladies and gentlemen, when I get the date set up, make sure you attend, please. It's going to be a momentous day for all of us, when we can finally say goodbye to this brutal bear market.